Okay. Good morning, Justice Shirley. Good morning, Mr. City. Good morning, Ms. Francis, and good morning, Margarita. Thank you all for being on the line. I'm sorry, was somebody else trying to speak?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Charles Newton, this is Sharon Watchman as well on the line. HR Director for Judicial Branch.
Good morning, Sharon.
Good morning.
So with that, we'll go ahead and proceed forward. Do we have anybody from the Office of Legislative Counsel on the line?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Again, this is Troy Cook on the line, attending this meeting as well.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Do you know if Dana is going to be on the line as well?
It's my understanding, ma'am, that she should be chiming in as well. I believe she's got other meetings that she's attending to as well.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cook. Who do we have from the Office of the Speaker on the line? Okay, it sounds like we don't have anybody from the Office of Speakers on the line. Who do we have from OLS on the line?
Good morning, Chair and members of the LC. This is Lorraine Spencer. I'm on the line.
Good morning, everyone.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
Good morning, everyone. This is Cheryl Nota with OLS as well. I'm on the line too.
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is Manuel Rico with Legislative Services, and good morning to the Law and Order Committee. I'll be on the line as well. Thank you.
Thank you for being on the line. I know I currently also have my legislative assistant who's also on the line as well, but is there anybody else who is on the line aside from the Law and Order Committee, Vice Chair Otto So, myself? Delegate Eugene So has asked to be excused. As I stated earlier, his cell phone is not, it's not working. And I've been experiencing the same issue as well. So I'm using my personal phone to get on. So I'm not sure if it's AT&T altogether or if it's our phones that are acting up. But Delegate Eugene So's phone is not working, so he won't be able to join us today. Do we have Delegate Vince James on the line?
Good morning, Chanel. This is Delegate James O. Same thing. When I called 669, the one touch automatically puts in, does all the numbers, but I was waiting on that line. But I guess I have to call in. Once it does this first answer, automatically you need to put in your 562-628-2566. If not, it'll just automatically push it in for you and then take you to a different meeting site. So that's where I was at.
Oh, geez. Okay, great. Well, thank you for letting us.
Oh.
Okay, so with that, we're going to go ahead and proceed forward on the agenda, which is item number 2. The purpose of this meeting is just kind of a history. So per the code, and Troy, actually what I'll do is I will make some time for you to kind of just give us some, like just a history breakdown for what is required for the Chief Justice's hearing. But before that, I do want to say that the purpose of today's meeting is to discuss the possibility of postponing the Chief Justice's probationary period and instead dropping legislation to extend it for another, I guess, probably until January 2022. And the reason for postponing is because we are still in the middle of we're still in the middle of this pandemic. Although, there are people who are letting their guard down, because they've been vaccinated, we're still unsure at this point if the vaccination is truly working. We have been receiving different reports depending on which vaccination people have been receiving. There's the Moderna, and then there's the Pfizer, and then the Johnson & Johnson that are currently available. However, we are still in that, I guess, phase where we're not 100% sure if the vaccination is, guarding against the virus. And so we have had a few discussions, both myself and Troy Cook, on the hearings that will be upcoming, or that are coming up here for not only the Chief Justice, but also the district court judges. And so I know that the Chief Justice's probationary period, it ended actually last year. And so in the middle of the virus, and we couldn't, there was really no way to get around it. The importance of the Law and Order Committee moving forward with the Chief Justice's hearing is, it's very important for the Navajo Nation as a whole. And so we have tried to, we did establish some public hearing dates, hoping that by this point we would have a better understanding of the vaccination and what it is, I guess, what it would do for our people. But because we still continue to have our numbers increasing with the virus, as chair of the Law and Order Committee, and this is just me speaking, not on behalf of the committee, but I feel that this position is so important to the Navajo Nation that we need to have the people involved in the process of this hearing. So with that, I did propose dropping legislation to extend the Chief Justice's probationary period, which will allow us to have time to, really see if our numbers continue to rise, to get a better understanding of what this vaccination, whether it really is safeguarding us from getting the virus. And then 3, also waiting for, the opening of the, hearings to take place. As the Law and Order Committee has experienced with the 2 previous judges that we have had hearings for, we have had many people in the courtroom offering testimony regarding cases that were heard by those particular judges. However, with the Chief Justice, the hearing is a little bit different. And so we, Troy Cook and I did have this conversation about, the differences between the regular hearing versus the hearing for the Chief Justice. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to Troy. Troy, if you could just give us just a really quick summary of the Chief Justice's hearing and what is expected to be taking place at this point since the dates have been established. If you could just kind of provide us a rundown of that information. Thank you. Troy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Charles Newton, Honorable Law and Order Committee members, Chief Justice Jane, and members of the Judicial Branch, and other visiting individuals. I would just like to first and foremost start out acknowledging, hopefully everybody's doing well, especially during these times of the pandemic, and hopefully it starts to subside. Going directly to this topic of the discussion today, Chief Justice Jane's, Honorable Chief Justice Jane's performance evaluation hearings. Our office got notice of this information, particularly myself, prior to the ending of last year in 2021. It had come to our attention that the probationary time had ended and it was yet to establish the performance evaluation hearings. In doing so, we made this a priority to attempt to get the hearings scheduled. But obviously, still with the issues of not meeting in person, everything's going on virtually at this point in time. Those were some of the pitfalls that we've encountered. However, we tried to maintain dialogue with Madam Chair of the LOC committee, including the members. So this discussion came up every so often. So one of the issues that we did identify respectively was that there was a memorandum that was received from Chief Justice Jane that I believe was a courtesy copy to our office, in which she did enlighten our staff that the probationary process had ended and that acting associate, Associate Chief Justice Shirley was in the acting capacity to take on the responsibility of doing the evaluations there at the Supreme Court. So within that, we identified and attempted to address some of those matters within Chief Justice Jane's memo to include continuously dialoguing with the Law and Order Committee of attempting to establish the evaluation hearing dates. So as far as movement began happening more consistently, I would say in March of this year, including going into April, there was several dates that were identified during one of the Law and Order Committee meetings that the evaluation hearings should start as soon and conveniently as possible, beginning the first evaluation hearing on May the 28th and that would be this month, 2021. There was also established that other dates would be every other Friday, as Madam Chair explained. This is somewhat different than, and respectfully to the other justices or judges on the bench, because this Chief Justice would and is overseeing all the operational issues within the court in itself in the judicial branch, that there would have to be some other items identified as part of the evaluation. So in doing so, dates were established leading into June, also all on Fridays, June 4th, June 11th, June 18th, and June 25th. So the dates were scheduled, and working within the timeline of the rules, obviously there's rules that specify once the hearing has been scheduled, there's a certain amount of days that are required to provide notice to the probationary justice along with the acting Chief Justice and other individuals such as the general public via media and or website information, radio, etc. So as those timelines, once those dates were established, we were hoping to get some of the notices and facilitating myself and Ms. Spencer, who's the advisor of the Law and Order Committee, were working to try and get some of the notices drafted to include getting them sent out, but it was just a matter of identifying the actual locations of where the hearings were going to be held. So right now, as I'm speaking, those dates are still identified. However, we just need to generate the actual locations to include making sure that all the logistics are set up, how to actually conduct the hearings. And as Madam Chair explained, are these going to be done virtually, or are they going to be done in person? And of course, what are the issues related to allowing people into a confined area, if any, depending on the forum of where the venue will be. So at this point in time, we're prepared to, of course, go forth with the hearings on those scheduled dates, and it's about at least another 12 days away, I believe, for the first hearing in May, on May 28th. So time is of the essence, and again, this meeting was called to ensure that that the hearings go forth But of course, there's discussion issues on the agenda as well. So that's the status of how our office stands in this probationary evaluation hearing process. Madam Chair.
Thank you for that rundown, Troy. Again, as stated, the purpose of today's meeting is to discuss the possibility of postponing the Chief Justice's extending the Chief Justice's probationary period and to postpone the Chief Justice's hearing, the public hearing. As Troy stated, there are some differences between the district court judge hearings, which we have had two, and then also the Chief Justice's hearing. Obviously, there are different rules for each, but because the Chief Justice's position is a Navajo Nation-wide position, again, I feel it is important that our people take part in the public hearing, but because of the virus, it's making it very difficult for us to have any type of meetings where we could have more than 10 people in attendance. So as Troy did state, he was made aware of this just as early as this week about postponing the hearing and extending the probationary period. So at this time, I will have to say, just as a warning, we are being aired live on social media. So, let's not discuss any personnel issues or anything specific to what is going on with the current evaluation that's happening with the Chief Justice. But at this time, I'm going to go ahead and open up the discussion to the committee members. Are there any questions or comments at this time?
Madam Chair?
Vice Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I believe with the timelines that are set after a date has been set for a hearing, what is that timeline, Troy? That's one. And then number two, that legislation that I was talking about pertaining to extending the Chief Justice's probationary for another time period. Where are we at on that particular legislation? I did ask about that one time, saying that I think that's about the best thing to do at this time. And I believe this is a time when the second wave of COVID came through. And I think the information I got was that we have to have a hearing. But we're still in the pandemic mode. But I've been and it's true that Chief Justice's position is not only geared to one district, it's geared across the Navajo Nation, and this probationary period and the hearing is really, really important because these decisions affect lives across the Navajo Nation and every day. And just want to hear how the people feel out there. Because apparently the Chief Justice position is not an elected position. And it really makes me wonder about how her or a Chief Justice evaluation happens. Who takes part of